Each Other Along show with Dave Clark, Dave Geis, Doug Cornfield, and we have our special guest, Dave Stevens. And we are excited about the show tonight. And I got to put the wrong thing on here, clicking around, there we go. However, it's hard to do an intro and do all the production side as well. But I know you guys love the music, so I'm going to just zip that right down.
Thank you.
And we'll see if we get some more viewers. We got
like I'm in Cincinnati.
on. This is the Pulling Each Other Along show. I'm Doug Cornfield, and I don't know if he's to my right or to my left, but to my right on the screen, I got Dave Geis, and to my left, I've got Dave Clark trying to figure out where he is tonight. Where are you tonight, Dave Clark? Because I'm not.
I have no idea where I'm at.
that I'm sure of.
What city are we in?
What city are? That's how you feel when you play baseball on the road, isn't it?
Yep, it's another clown season.
Back in the old Colgate Boy days. There we are. There's Dave Geis, Dave Clark. They love this picture. That's the nice thing about being in control. I get to be in control of the pictures that we show on the show.
Yes.
So, how you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Glad to be back and have our special guest Dave Stevens on. It's going to be a good show.
I think so. He's been as anybody that follows Dave Stevens. I mean, the guy gets all over the world somehow. He's on Facebook, and one day in North Carolina, the next day he's on a runway, the next day he's in California. I don't know. It's hard to keep track of him, and I kind of know him pretty well. So anyway, without further ado, we should actually bring our guest on because we do like making the show all about the guest. And Dave Stevens, welcome. How are you doing today? There you go. Give us a spin around.
All right, Dave Clark, it's your turn to do that.
You're one of few people that can actually do something like that, Dave Stevens.
That's like I just saw you guys, but we're not in person. But it's fun to be here. Yeah, we've had a fun, busy summer. I was literally just at the Hartford Yard Goats game earlier today to shoot some stuff for the Disability Channel, and talk to the Tim, and he's like, "Yeah, we really want to get you guys back on the schedule for the camp." And so I've been all over with you guys down in North Carolina, up to Corning. We were over to Hudson Valley last week, and then back up for the game, and then the Yankee game, and then Runway of Dreams, and next week going to California, and then the following Tuesday doing my very first stand-up / sit-down comedy routine at a charity event. So, man, I'm the busiest poor person in show business, but it's fun. I'm enjoying it. The best part about the things we do with the Disability Dream and Do is to work with these kids, and I'm so excited that the book's coming out fairly soon, and hopefully we get back to our normal slate of 7 or 8 or even 9 camps next year, where we can that's where we make our impact. And it was nice to get together with you guys in person and do more with the kids and not have masks and all that fun stuff. It was really fun. And the last one in Hudson Valley was just, as you see the pictures here, that little girl was so just beautiful, and she was so scared and apprehensive. And by the end of the camp, we were playing catch, and she was excited and called me her friend. So, that's the reason that it makes it all worthwhile, and hopefully a big sponsor is going to see us soon and help, really help us put on the map, or we merge with MLB, because they keep talking about diversity, but they, that's a big word that they don't let us be a part of that umbrella.
Right. Well, we certainly could use some help in helping. While we try to help pull other people along, we sure want some people to help pull us along too. And so, and you've been a part of that now for I don't know how many years, Dave. It just seems like 2 days ago when I flew to Connecticut, when I found out about you and met you and heard you speak that day at the whatever that was that we were at, that little dinner thing. And
then you hand me the phone and go, "Dave's in Wickenburg, Arizona."
That was so weird.
My hometown. Like, okay, what are the odds?
That was pretty weird.
Amazing.
That's one of those stories where you start to scratch your head and I don't know, is all this planned before we even started? It was definitely that kind of story there for us.
And it was nice to be in New York, and be on the Runway of Dreams and talk about, what D3 Day has meant to me. And I had 5 minutes, but I made sure I put up footage of Lily and I playing catch and hitting the ball and running the bases. And again, talk about the importance of, that's why it was a big part of my tiny presentation, because of what we do and what Doug does and his family does, and what Dave has done, and especially what Dave Clark did by starting this whole nonsense and creating something that now we got to keep going. They expect it. Like, it's so important to these kids, and to not have it for a year. When we showed up this year, it was like the hugs were extra tight. The kids really didn't want to leave after the camp. They lingered longer than normally, just because it was nice to be back doing what we do.
Right. So, being that this is the Pulling Each Other Along show, I know, Dave, you've created a whole lot of kindness. You're kind in there's so many different ways. You're kind in your humor. You're kind in what you do for these kids, like Lily, like you just said, and not just her. There's so many of the Disability Dream and Do kids that, and say kids, but it's kids and adults that come to our events, and that's part of the kindness. But I want to go ahead and start with one of our main questions that we try to prepare you to do, and that's like, if there's one thing, one person, something that you can point to that pulled you along. You can't talk about all of them. There's so many. But if there's that one that you want to hone, and I'm going to ask you not to hone in on the one that you did in your book, because we want people to read the Pulling Each Other Along book. You have a special story in that with Daryl Strawberry, who became a good friend of yours. So if you can stay away from that story, how about we talk about another thing that pulled you along in your life?
I think it would be my baseball coach from high school, because my freshman year, I thought about dropping out of high school. I hated life. We were really poor, and I was really getting frustrated. But I was playing baseball, and I was actually doing really well on the junior varsity level. And the varsity coach said, "We've got a big Easter tournament coming up. Why don't you come suit up for the varsity?" And I'm like, as a 15-year-old freshman playing varsity baseball with no legs, it was just like, so. Not only then I'm in this tournament, they stick me in right field, and I come up to bat and I draw a walk, and then I steal a base. And, coach is like, "You're going to be with us for the rest of the year." So I went from JV to varsity my first year, which is kind of impressive. You don't hear about it. It was a small school, but you still don't get that freshman to the varsity level unless you're some phenom.
Right.
And he just saw something in me. And so it was funny, then it became, he put me in situations. I got to start a few games. There was one of the best pitchers in the state faced us, and he put me up to break up a perfect game, and it rattled the pitcher, and we got a hit, and we didn't win, but it, all those kind of things. So my baseball coach really, he knew what to do. And so the guys that hit after me, because I walked so much, I think the career stat was 667, because the pitchers were so rattled trying to get their strike zone back that they just wanted to get it over the plate, which was meat to these guys. So he'd bat me third, he'd bat me second. Sometimes he would, move me around later in the game to come into the fourth spot, because they knew I would either draw that walk or get on or get hit or whatever. So yeah, my baseball coach, how many coaches would take that chance, let alone, putting a freshman who had nothing into those situations, and I loved it. So I mean, that's really what propelled my sports career, was my baseball coach.
Right, and I've met his son, and I know he has a big impact on you, and I know it was small town and all those kind of things, but still to reach out to you and show that in such a way. Dave Clark, can you relate to that at all?
No, yeah. I mean, there was, my stories, but probably without my third grade teacher, Mr. Snetchler, same as Dave. Dave got his window of opportunity, and we try to strive in these camps the potential that each kid may hold, each person attending the camp might hold, because we don't know what the potential is until somebody allows us to reach out, get out of our comfort zone, and or forces us to get out of our comfort zone, as my third grade teacher did. I didn't want to climb that rope. Hell, I thought, I'm sitting there going, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm going to be made fun of, and you sometimes have to be put into a situation where even you don't think you're able to accomplish something, and you surprise even yourself. And so for me, I can relate to Dave, because without Mr. Snetchler more or less forcing me to take part in PE, I don't know what my potential would have been. And I've always said this too: Challenger Baseball. It's a great organization. We know a fellow up in Rochester, New York, Doug, that does a great job with Challenger, Ron. And however, be careful. Don't stereotype somebody and put them into Challenger when maybe their abilities outweigh the program.
Right.
So you got. It's just like I remember a boy and Dave, Doug. You may remember right here in Fort Myers, and I don't remember his name, but he was a left-hander, and he was missing his right arm.
Right.
And he could throw the freaking ball.
Right.
And they had him in Challenger.
Right.
Down here, and that's the kind of again, Challenger is a great program. It really serves its purpose, but there's always that Dave that may merit coming
Dave Geis.
out of that program. Yeah, Dave Geis too. He's from a different level, but anyway.
Well, he was a catcher, so he had catcher mentality, and how many times did you cut him before you let him play on your team? So
anyway, yeah, I relate to that, and I think we all, and Dave Geis too. I think we all have somebody that that pulled us along. We may pull people along, but somebody pulled us along as well.
Right, absolutely. So Dave, you had something pretty special happen. What was it? Just a week ago? I mean, it just aired on Sunday.
Yeah, it was a week ago tonight.
There we go. Let me do the intro here real quick. There you go. On the catwalk. I don't know about the little tush thing, but
yeah, I hammed it up, but it was so fun. It was a great evening with a lot of children, disabled children wearing clothes. Mindy Shire has put together an amazing organization, Runway of Dreams, that is trying to get mainstream clothing organizations to put clothing together. So, because I'm sure, like Dave and I, when I was a kid, I had artificial legs, and I would wear those same pair of pants because it was tough to take them off, and we just didn't have money to get all kinds of jeans. And now they have snaps and zippers, and Kohl's is going mainstream, and JCPenney, and they gave me this really cool Inspirational Achievement Award.
Wow, Man of the Year. We got to get that bigger here.
And Lee Steinberg presented me, and I got to talk for 5 minutes. And like I said, talked about everything I'm doing and what you guys have meant to me as a person, and suddenly philanthropy is a big part of my life. So it was fun, and I hammed it up on the runway when we did the thing, and I don't know, it was like once you're out there, you're just goofing around, and it was just like I'm doing military midair push-ups, and the crowd's going nuts, and I'm just like, yeah, I've lost 50 pounds, let me flaunt it, and it's just like I'm trying to work it, I'm working it, you just caught in the moment, but a lot of good things came out of it. I was reached today by a guy from Forbes magazine. They want to write an article about what I'm doing and the things I'm involved with, and the marketing of disabled and things like that. So anything I can do to continue to raise attention to us and our what we're trying to do is such a good thing, and I'm really excited.
Right. Well, we love Mindy's story, and for those that aren't familiar with that, just as a segue, there's the Runway of Dreams. She's a mother who had a child with limitations. We certainly her story's great, but her son couldn't dress, and he couldn't change himself, and so therefore he was always in sweatpants, and she decided to make him fancy jeans, and it took her a long time to figure out how he could get them on and off, and that stirred on this whole fashion for people with limitations, disabilities, people that are a little different, so that they can look sharp and dress as well. And Mindy's actually also a part of her story, and the Runway of Dreams is highlighted in the Pulling Each Other Along book. It's one of the chapters. You can go to pullingeachatheralong.com and see her profile, and that's in essence how Dave Stevens met and they found out about Dave Stevens through this Pulling Each Other Along team that we have and the synergies that are building there. So we just love what Mindy's doing. We're so glad. And I got a little shout out from James Sindoma. She's fashion styling king. There you go. That's Dave Stevens. That's pretty cool. So thank you, Mindy, if you're out there listening or you get the rerun for this of doing this and making folks with differences feel a little bit more special and want to fit in. I know you and the two top Daves here, Dave Stevens, Dave Clark, part of their childhood is just wanting to be normal, just wanting to fit in. So anyway, we just got a hi from Sharon. There we go. And we can do some shout outs to some of our folks. Jim Sindona was just on there. What is it? 3-time world champion boxer, Bonnie Man.
Bonnie Man.
There we go. Hi,
we got old Tank.
Tank was
down in Naples.
Now, Tank might be a little bit loony birds. He says the greatest guys I've ever met. Does that mean us or I don't know? He's talking about somebody else. So
I think he's at a sports bar. That's what he's doing right now. He's with the greatest guys right now he's ever met.
Hey, by the way, Dave, you're not the only guy that lost 50 pounds. Over here, I'm reading where Rusty Dye also lost 50 pounds. That's the Beegster. That's the Beegster.
Yep.
I can't. It's amazing how I was bouncing around the field this summer, like with the kids and running, and it really it felt good. It was just if it's just you stop eating junk and you focus on. And Doug, Doug's done a great job of losing weight as well. It's been. You look emaciated now. You've lost so much weight.
I don't know if that's a good word, but
no.
Wait a minute. What about me, guys?
Huh? You
always have your girlish figure.
There you go. There we go. Hey, from Gabe Room. All right, Gabriel. I don't know if folks saw Gabe. I think I still have a picture of him. Gabe was our most recent Pulling Each Other Along award winner, and he's doing it all with just being a wonderful little spirit. And he's been in the Children's Hospital for many, many, many days. So shout out to Gabe and April.
If he's watching. Hi, Gabe.
Watching, Gabe. We're shouting out to you, buddy. So Dave Stevens, we did something at the when we were over at is this Hudson Valley here? I think so.
Yeah.
So we were at Hudson Valley.
Yeah.
And we were together. That's where we were together last, although we were together a week before that as well.
And you're wearing the same shirt. Did you?
I'm wearing the same shirt. But it's
never even watches Dave in between.
At least once. It's one of those things. I was in an extra large, and now I'm a large, and the extra large looks so baggy on me. So I only have a few larges. So I got to get some more larges, man. I guess that's a good thing.
I'm talking. If you're watching, start coughing up some more clothing for these guys. So.
Yeah, we could use some dressing up. That would be
maybe wonderful. A cap for Dave.
Or a hat. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be really good if we could get a hat for Dave, guys. So, but Dave, because we've lost all this weight, we tried to do some batting practice. We were able to do batting practice, and I jumped in. But I was a little disappointed, Dave Stevens, because you didn't let me. You didn't let me. You just didn't let me do this year. You didn't let me pitch to you, and I'm a little hurt that you didn't let me do batting practice to you, and I still think I could have pitched better than most of the guys.
You know what? That didn't even hurt him. That didn't even hurt him, man. You're doing your best stuff.
No,
it didn't even hurt him.
Got me right in that little part of the shoulder blade that just and it was just. Oh yeah, play it again. That's a good laugh. My buddies love watching that.
But it never gets old, actually.
That's right down here at Hammond Stadium.
Yeah, there you go.
So, Doug, were you throwing that?
I did.
You did.
He's throwing his. He's throwing his.
Hey, you try throwing to somebody like him. It's not that easy.
Oh, I know.
It just that happens all the time. I mean, that's the game. I'm a tough target to throw to, but the very first pitch, I was like, okay, here we go. We're going to shoot this thing.
Bam.
That wasn't the first pitch.
First friggin' pitch.
I didn't even.
No, it wasn't the first pitch. Not even close.
First pitch. Unbelievable.
I threw a lot of pitches there.
You couldn't throw. That's a problem.
So, Doug, were you trying to aim it?
He's trying to throw a strike.
Yeah.
That was.
I know.
He did want me to bring it a little bit more than than just throwing lollipops. And so
Probably than you had.
probably all I had, man. I was throwing all I had.
Yeah, I know it's not
No.
easy. I used to
No,
throw
it was-
BP to Dave Clark up there, and it was
It's
always
a
in the
lot.
back of your mind: don't hit him, don't hit him, don't hit him, and don't hit him in the
Doug,
elbow. Sure enough, you hit him in the elbow.
Doug's
What-
got
what
a
is-
funny. You got a funny story on that, Doug.
What story?
The story when Don Mears told you that when we were playing in Kissimmee,
Oh yeah.
and the pitcher, the Kissimmee pitcher,
Let me pull you in.
I don't even remember this, but Don was
This
telling.
is you're at bat for this story.
Yeah, I'm at bat, and
You have to set it
Doug,
up.
and Don is telling Doug this story. He's the general manager at Kissimmee, and he says, "You're batting, and our pitcher's throwing, and he knocks you on your derriere, and your crutches go flying." He goes, after the inning, I went down to the dugout, and I grabbed the guy by the collar, and I go, "What the heck are you doing?" And the pitcher says, "He was crowding the plate." Crowding the plate.
Right, and you were able to give Don. And actually, he just read the forward for Terry Bradshaw, so I just chatted with him just today. He thought the forward was outstanding, and so if you haven't gotten to the forward, I might as well segue to that. But we have a forward written by somebody that some of you may know. His name is Terry Bradshaw. He wrote. It's a very fun look into this new book, Pulling Each Other Along. If you haven't gotten a chance to download that for free, go to pullingeachotheralong.com, look for his picture, and download the free download. And it's a really, really good read. So please do that for us. It's one way you can help pull us along if you haven't done that yet. So Don was telling me this story, and Dave was like, "Oh, I was kind of glad when they pitched to me and they treated me like just every other player. If I was, if the player was crowding the plate and he wanted to push me back, then Dave Clark was wanting to get treated just like anybody else, any other player." And so we were able to give Don years later a whole different perspective coming from Dave Clark on that, because he never forgot the story of the guy on crutches getting brushed back with a fastball.
And I appreciated that when I was playing too, because it just, I didn't want to walk every single time. I wanted to hit. And when I would get a pitch, I would swing, and my coach would get mad. He's like, "That's at your head." I'm like, "That's about where they're going to be." So, Dave and I were baseball players. We didn't look at it like we were anything special, or putting the kid in for one play to let him run for a touchdown. I mean, we were athletes, and I think that's what set us apart with that early, is that we had that chip on our shoulder. Like, we have to compete with the best, so we're going to have to work harder and longer and do more just to be average to compete. And then if we work hard enough, then that average can turn into better, where we're not picked last for teams and we're not made fun of, and people stop staring at us and say, "Hey, that's not a disabled person. That's Dave Clark pitching and hitting a baseball, or Dave Stevens running the bases." And, it ruins that label that we call disabled, because a car is disabled, a human being is not. Baseball just got rid of the disabled list because they found it offensive. And golf, the term handicap is good. In life, it's bad. So we need to figure out, better terminology for some of these things. But, I'm sure Dave can make the same comment. I mean, we just wanted to go out and compete. So that's such, hit me with a pitch. That means that, you're trying to either knock me out, or you're mad that I don't have a good strike zone.
Hey, baseball, Dave, as you know, is a challenge. The pitcher's trying to get you out, you're trying to get a hit, or vice versa. If I'm the pitcher, I'm trying to get you out. And to be really honest with you, once I crossed that white line, I never even envisioned myself as having limitations. I was out there and just competing and doing the best that I could do, and trying to beat the other guy's ass. That's all.
The little tush of Dave Stevens that he sings about in his song, the little tush. Anyway, so okay, it wouldn't be right if we don't put Dave Clark or Dave Stevens back on the spotlight here and find out what donut. Of course, he's lost all this weight, but what is your favorite donut, Dave Stevens? Drum roll, please, from somebody. And Tom will be so upset, and he pays all our bills, so we have to make sure that we keep the lights on.
Oh, it's that maple bacon donut that they have down there in Fort Myers, Florida, which they didn't have this year, and I was so disappointed. I mean, it's we can say something that everybody knows that donut shop really isn't the same as it was, and it's very disappointing. But it was by far. You get two. It's maple and bacon on a donut, and they're so big, and it's just like my mouth is just watering.
It's still there, but you have to go early in the morning, to
And
get it.
can we say their name, Doug?
Bennett's Coffee Roasters.
Bennett's.
Okay, I didn't know if I was allowed to say. Yeah, Bennett's.
Yeah, I mean, we got to
it's
tell
on
them, Dave,
Facebook.
because you got to go to Bennett's.
we love it. I mean, I still go there. It's they've struggled because of COVID, like so many of the businesses. But if you get a chance, you just got to go early now, because it's hard for them to make so many donuts, and then not as many people show up, and then they're wasting food, and
Everything's gone by 8 a.m. now.
right. So you got to go early to get the maple bacon, and it is. I've thought about going, just buying them all and wait until they're all gone, and then standing out in front of the parking lot and selling them for like $5 a piece.
Scalping. That's donut scalping.
Yeah, right.
You
have to do that.
We got to do what we got to do, especially now. I lost my cheese company.
Hey, by the way, Tank Collins up there, he's woo maple bacon. He owes me a dozen donuts, if you recall that.
Well, it's got interest by now, so it's
That's what it definitely has. I think it's up to 14 now.
Donuts.
It's up to 14.
And I'm sure he's good for it once we.
I'm sure he is. Hey, before we go any further, there's a special person that just came in, Janie Woodson. So I wanted to say hi to Connie Janie Woodson from Missouri. It's been a long time. It's a unique friendship. So I just wanted to say hi.
Well, you knew her name when it doesn't even say.
You're right.
So that's pretty cool. And hi from Corning, New York, where I am, and Dave's in Florida, and Dave Clark's in Florida. Dave Geis is in.
We're all over the country.
Dave Stevens. I am definitely. What's that Sesame Street song? Which one doesn't belong? And because my name is Doug. Just beginning with a D isn't good enough. It's I am the one. I am the outcast.
And I'm probably still the
like the other. One of these things is kind of the same. Can you tell which one is not like the other? Before my song is done.
We could probably it would be interesting, what our fans would say that are listening in, which one doesn't belong. So, is it you, Dave Geis?
I got a feeling.
It's because you don't have a hat.
I have
a hat, which you haven't given to him yet.
Yes.
But, one of these days.
One of these days, I got to get out
there too. I've got something I'm going to send to Rock that I haven't done yet either.
Hey, I want to ask Dave a question. Dave, do you know how close we came to me being your coach? You ever heard that story? Dave Stevens?
No.
So I believe you were with the Saints in '93, correct?
Yeah.
Mike Beck offered me a coaching position with the Saints in 1993, and I turned it down to go back over to Sweden.
And did Twilliger take it?
So that's how close
we came. I bet he gave that to Wayne Twilliger.
He may have.
Wow.
I don't know. I left. I went overseas and coached over in Sweden, but that's how close we came.
Of course, Dave Clark wouldn't have wanted to have you. So you might not have ever played professional baseball. He would say, no, he's not good enough.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I may have had some insights on things the other coaches did not have.
Yeah. Like how many times he could get a walk.
That would have been, that would have been awesome. Hey, sidebar real quick, since I played with Strawberry, did you guys watch the 30 for 30 on the Mets and just stuff you didn't know that they talked about, they finally admitted to, and all those kind of things? And knowing Daryl, he was very forthright as far as what happened and what was going on. It was pretty amazing to watch. If you haven't, you really should.
So it's a 30
I
think I caught some of it actually, but I didn't watch it all.
It's a 4-part series, 1 hour each, and it's just everybody that was on the Mets, Ray Knight, everybody just coming clean on all the bad stuff, and Lenny Dykstra's pretty messed up. I mean, he was messed up then, but yeah, it's really worth a watch for the true baseball fans. Even if you hated the Mets, it just gives you insight to the debauchery of what was going on and what baseball was like at that time.
Right. Well, switching gears from baseball to football. Right now, our guests are 1-0. Dave Clark is 1-0. I'm 1-0, and Dave Geis, you're 0-1 on predictions for Thursday night football. So, anybody that's out there listening on the chat world, let us know who you think is going to win. And I got to get the teams right. It's the New York Giants and the Washington football team. So, show us who you think's going to win, Washington football team tonight or the New York Giants. And let's start with Dave Geis. Since you are 0-1, you get to pick first this time. Thursday night football prediction.
I'll go with the Giants this time.
You're going to go with the Giants. Dave Clark.
Boy, picked it right last week. Although Dave, you almost pulled it off.
Almost.
I'm gonna go with Washington.
Dave Clark's for Washington. We got to write this down. Dave Geis, can you write this down? Because I won't.
Sure.
So we got to remember.
Just remember
and our guest, Dave Stevens. You got to do better for the guests. Or the guests are 1-0, so they did good.
I'm gonna have to go with Washington. They got a rookie quarterback that I think is really finally gonna get a shot to prove himself. And I don't know. I think the Giants are still the Giants, and the Jets are still the Jets.
And I'm gonna go with the Washington. You know, being an Eagles fan, I'd like to see the Eagles get a nice little lead because they'll likely blow it later in life. So I'm gonna go with the Washington football team. So we got 3 Washington football teams and a Giant.
Yeah.
Everybody hates all of us because all the New York people are going to be really mad.
Hank picked the Giants.
Once again, I'm the odd one out. I don't get it.
Oh, you're the odd one out again?
Yep.
Well, you got a chance to tie us.
That's true. That's true. I'll take it.
You know, I want to say that's true. You are.
Yeah.
What do you got, Dave, guys?
I was going to say, going back to baseball, it's weird because I don't know Dave Stevens, if you remember this or not, but it had to be like 1981 or 82. I met you at a Twins tryout at the Metrodome.
Oh, did you really?
Yes, I was at that tryout.
Wow.
And it was funny because I'm sure you were trying for catcher as well, right?
Outfield then.
Outfield, because I thought you were over by the plate with us, but maybe not. But I remember you, obviously, and I think the one thing I remember most about that tryout was Tony Oliva through batting practice. And I remember as a catcher, we had to throw it to each base. And we were throwing to third, and I could have sworn someone said throw one more to third. So I threw it to third. Third baseman must have thought I was going to throw to second. So, I mean, it was a great throw, but it hit him right where you don't want to get hit.
Where's that?
Where is that?
In Minneapolis.
That's a big target.
Yes, sir.
Balls, right in the big balls.
But then a few years later, I was with, I think it was my second year on the Clowns, actually.
Did you look anything like this, Dave, guys?
Yeah, that's about right.
That's about right.
The Dave Clark about meeting Dave Stevens. And I don't know if Dave knew about you or not at the time, but now here I am looking at both of you at the same time. It's kind of weird.
I never knew that story.
Yeah,
that's great. So both of us had a possible earlier connections with Dave.
Right.
And
wow. It's always good too to have somebody to actually say, when I say I tried out for the Twins, it's backed up because we didn't have the internet and cell phones and all that kind of stuff.
We didn't have any of that crap.
Everything is like your word against everybody else's. But that's a cool story. Thank you very much.
I remember the newspaper the next day had your picture in it. On the top, I think it was on the cover of the Sports.
What's awesome. The guy's name that was the marketing ticket sales guy at Hammond Stadium? That was working there forever, and he worked.
Oh, he's working for the.
Yeah, he was working for
Harry Chapin now.
No.
Yeah,
that's where he's working now.
He's working for Harry.
I just remember when Dave Stevens walked into that office, he was such a fanboy. He was like, "Oh, I think I had his poster up in my wall. Yeah, the Dave Stevens poster of him playing or something with St. Paul Saints." I've never seen somebody act like such a fanboy.
Zola from Hudson Valley, same thing. He said he had my poster on his wall for the longest time, and it's just it's very humbling to hear these kind of cool stories, or to read. One of the famous Cincinnati Reds scouts wrote a book, and he had a whole chapter about my tryout with the Reds. I had 2 tryouts with the Reds, and Hal Newsom, I think, was his name as a scout. And you just see these things, or like when Darryl Strawberry says on camera, I was going to quit playing baseball that day, and I walked out. Dave Stevens walked out and took the limelight off of him, and he could just do his thing, and we became friends, and he stayed in baseball and won World Series. So it's like these great stories I love hearing, because when you're on the inside, you're in the moment, you're just playing baseball. Right. You're not thinking about that you're special or you made an impact on anybody. It's just, but it's such a small family too, that it's just really neat to hear all these stories.
Thank you, Tony, for
Tony says John Kuhn.
John Kuhn. Yeah, it's like you think I could remember a name like John, but I guess I don't know. I need that. Maybe we should start taking that stuff that helps our brain, and then we can start selling it on the Pulling Each Other Along show. So
there you go.
Ginkgo biloba.
It's called sleep.
Hey, I do want to take a half a break because we got people listening, because we really do want people to help pull us along. And I know I mentioned the forward with Terry Bradshaw and the new book that's coming out, Pulling Each Other Along. But if you can help share that and get the word out for that, and if you can take a look at the website, the pullingeachotheralong.com website, I'm just gonna do a series of shout outs to Scope Design. Scope Design has developed this website. It's an incredible process they took us through. It's thorough. It's great. It's beyond great. So if anybody out there that's listening needs websites developed for them, and they don't want to get the cheap kind, they want to get something that's first class, let's give a shout out to I can get you in contact with Scope Design. And I just want to again thank them for the great work that they're not just have done, but they're continuing to do to make that website first class as we go into this marketing for the Pulling Each Other Along book. So thank you, Scope Design, for that. Also, Dave Stevens is so popular now that he's got his own maple syrup line. I don't know who knows that out there, but you sent that picture to me, and I said, hey, that's a really good picture. It's hard to take picture of glass. I think, have you sold all those yet, or do we need to get more?
I have not had any opportunities due to lack of help. But I would like to start selling them. Yes, they're very nice. Shipping is ridiculous, as you know. It's like
shipping costs.
It's more to ship it. But I appreciate it, and like we should get more merchandise out there for our fans to get to see Dave Clark's face on a mug, or
we have fans.
We have fans.
Yeah.
All 3 of them.
Really?
Yeah, all those 3 fans in Milwaukee.
Yeah. Hey,
2 because we have to take you away, Dave, guys.
Ah, dang it.
So there's only 2. No, but maybe we should do a contest of if we have the Dave Stevens and a Dave Clark maple syrup jar, and
we're gonna compete.
See who would win, more Dave Clark or more Dave Stevens. I don't know. Let's see what Tank said. He's a fan, but do you have maple syrup, Dave Clark maple syrup, Tank, and Dave Clark maple syrup? Which would you want? Maybe we should do a Pulling Each Other Along.
You're putting them all on the spot.
Oh. Putting them. Well, you know what? Dave will have you come on and see how many you can get compared to Dave Clark. We'll see who the better salesman is. I don't know.
I think
there you go. There you go. We've already sold some. Tank's buying both.
Perfect.
So we can make more designs too. We got one with a wagon. I'm sure we can do more. So you can buy all 3, and we'll get greedy.
What about one of McGeiser after you give him his cap?
Yeah, get one of now. Here you go. Camilla's chiming in. She needs some syrup.
Oh, perfect.
We love it.
We'll try to get you some.
It's on the shelf over Dave's shoulder.
Sharon wants both. There you go. We got to get the collector's mugs going out, and it is extremely, extremely good and expensive syrup, just to let you know. But we do sell a lot of that to help raise money for the Disability Dream and Do camps, and if people are interested in those kind of things, let us know. Message us. Find us on Facebook. Reach out to us. All those good things. So we appreciate support and help. We kind of had a very unique thing. It's not bad enough just to have COVID trying to change the whole world. But the cheese company, a lot of us that know, we have incredible cheeses that we were able to get, artisan cheeses from Woodhull, New York. And they had a significant flooding a week or two ago, and it's completely knocked me out of our major fundraising going into our fundraising time now that we have the camps over, of our wonderful cheeses, and we have no idea when we're going to be able to get it back. So if you guys can reach out to us with other products that you may want, go to the Pulling Each Other Along page, check that out, all those wonderful things. And then obviously we're hoping all of you will help us when we launch the Pulling Each Other Along book, which is coming up very soon. Tom Demolakis has been asking me for a time frame, and I'm going to say it's very, very, very soon. How's that? It's all put together, and we're going to get some printed and do a Kickstarter. So be looking for that. So Dave Stevens, because I have all these Daves. I don't know. Can you give us maybe a little bit of a summary of what this comedy skit's going to look like? We could have Dave Clark sing, you know.
No, I'm trying to think. Other than, like I said, I was going to do my dog scraping its bottom on the carpet impersonation, and then it goes really downhill after that. I'm not sure. Just trying to do something, that'll, if they bring me out in a cardboard box and I pop out or something, I'm trying to figure out a really good way to wow them. It's something I've always thought about doing, and it's hopefully going to be fun. And I'm putting together some material that, a lot of things in my life are funny, just things that have happened to me, and incidents, and I don't know how blue I'm gonna. There you go. I don't know how blue I'm gonna go, but it'll be a lot of fun. Probably one of the bigger challenges in my life is, to sit there and try to make people laugh. It's okay when you speak and you tell a story and you drop a one-liner or two, but if you've got 2 or 3 minutes and it's a dead crowd, and you're suddenly like, I can't go any lower than I can, and Doug, can you push that button and just kind of drop out of there? They don't have those kind of things on the stage to get me off of there. So I don't. Hopefully, I'll wear a big thing of Depends, so in case I get nervous and oil myself, I'll be prepared, and
something like that. So Dave Clark, I was just having to watch this the other day, but he did a TED Talk at the Corning Museum of Glass, and people don't know him from anything. And he gets up there on his crutches and he shows a picture of, this is a long time ago, because Trey was maybe 2 or 3 years old at the time. And what was your opening line then, Dave? If you
I can't remember. I don't know what it was.
So Dave tells a opening line. You got all these people that don't know him from Adam, and he did this a couple of times. But basically, he said, that's my 2-year-old, and it's actually my son. And then he'd look around to the crowd and he goes, as you're getting older, everything kind of hurts, but at least something still works. And so, but the thing about it is, like, nobody laughed. They didn't get it. And I think they were like, did he just say what I think he just said? And so he goes, it's really funny if you go and find the Pulling Each Other Along. It's on our Pulling Each Other Along YouTube page under Dave Clark or video.
That was when I needed you to pull the plug.
It was too late.
Yeah.
It was
Get the
too
hook.
late.
Because Dave's right.
I think most people didn't know they should laugh. They were like, did he just say what I think he said? That's really
you're
funny.
Up there like a man on an island, man. And when they don't laugh, it's like,
Crickets.
it's time to go.
Well, your response was like, well, I guess we got to keep going. Something. It's pretty funny. It's actually, and just so anybody that's still listening to us, which we got a few, it is a wonderful, wonderful TED Talk. But have your Kleenexes ready. He might not make you laugh, but you need to have your Kleenexes ready. He told a story. Really, I think that was the first time you'd ever publicly told the story, the letter story about your mother.
Yeah, that was.
And it's pretty darn gripping. And have your Kleenexes ready. He tells the Ernie Pound of Kindness, Pulling Each Other Along story. He tells the rope climb story, and it's collected beautifully, condensed in about 15, 16 minutes, other than his opening comedian line that basically flushed down the toilet. Everything else was great. So be careful, Dave Stevens. They might not get your humor.
Yeah. and don't flush the toilet.
or
Dave, you got a lot more of the humor than I ever had. So
there we go. There we go. Dave Stevens doing his thing on stage a week
I
ago.
think you got to pop out in a Speedo.
Oh,
I wanted them to make a Speedo because they custom made my suit, the Tommy Hilfiger suit, and they cut off a good pair of legs on those pants. And I'm like, can you make me some underwear or a bra or something that, this wasted, expensive suit? It really was.
So Bonnie Man must have thought something was funny. I don't know.
I don't think we can
talk. Something. Let's see. Or is that Tank? That was Tank.
That's Tank. Yeah.
I was targeting that to Bonnie Man. Tank. You do need the Depends. It looks like Tank. So. But anyway, very good stuff. Dave, I wanted to ask the folks too, and I meant to do this a while ago. If anybody's got a question for Dave Stevens, please throw it up on the chat, and we'd love to hear from you from that perspective. Any questions? It's supposed to come up live, the chat over here, but that overlay doesn't seem to be working right. I have to talk to Restream about that, see if I'm doing something wrong. But now it won't close. Uh-oh.
It's closed over here.
Is it closed over there?
Yeah.
Oh, it's my screen is frozen up a little bit, so hopefully, but everybody can still hear us. It looks like we're live.
Oh yeah.
It's not letting me control anything anymore. There we go. It's back to my computer sped up. There we go. We got the OGs. I just peed again. Sorry about that, Tank.
Nice. That's really good.
So Bonnie, there we go. I'm glad to know it wasn't you that peed in your pants, and because she'd probably box us or something. And I've got some great video of her. I just recorded video of her a couple weeks ago. I haven't been able to use it yet, but we have a thing where it says we want people to join us for our journey and the pulling each other along. And Bonnie basically says, join us or else. So if you know how good she was, hopefully that will encourage some people to join us for the pulling each other along journey. So any other questions out there for you guys? Dave Geist, Dave Clark? Good. Do we have any other?
Yeah, I do. I want Dave to.
Wait.
Geez, never mind.
What do you call a guy with no arms and no legs in the water?
Hey, Bob. Oh,
Bob. See, I'm working on this physical comedy stuff, because Gallagher had his stuff and Carrot Top had his thing, and I don't know. I'll bring my legs out and do something with them or something funny. So.
Oh my God.
We got I don't know, we can't clip it. It's live. It's live YouTube. So what were you chatting about? I don't know. You have to go look at the rewind if you haven't seen it. So thank you, Melanie, for joining us for so long here. She's we've known her now for quite a while through all the COVID craziness. So thanks for being here. There's a lot of folks who joined in, so we really appreciate that. Don't know exactly who our guest is going to be next week. I have a couple of guests lined up for the future guests, some cool ones coming up. Dave Clark, any last passing words?
No, I was going to ask Dave to kind of let the audience know what it was like to be on stage in your expensive suit and the what it meant to you, really.
I mean, yeah, all fun and games. It was really overwhelming. I mean, to have Lee Steinberg come out and his introduction to me was like, he's like, this is the greatest athlete I've ever met. And I'm like, this is Patrick Mahomes' agent. Like, if anybody saw this, they might be mad. And then to go out there and then be able to tell my story. And I got a little emotional during it because, again, Mindy's goal, her son has muscular dystrophy. He's not going to hopefully he can live a long time, but he may not ever get to see, a certain time where he can wear these kind of clothes. And it just, those kind of things hit home when you realize, again, your story, my story pales in comparison to people that are fighting for their life when their lives are years and not decades. So it was really awesome. And again, I wouldn't have had it if it wasn't for you and Doug and them, meeting you guys in Florida and getting all of us involved. And it's just one of those things where good karma really comes to those who do well. And you guys do so much, Dave Geist, Doug, you, all of us. And it's nice that we get a little bit of that recognition, and it can help others, especially in the disabled and handicap and all the silly terms that we use as far as our minority that we are. But yeah, Dave, it was amazing just to be, to go out there and to just a sense of almost normal, crawling out on the stage, and I'm sitting here with confidence, bouncing around and, posing and stuff. And it's just like, you just become the moment. And I wasn't, a cripple or handicap or disabled or any of those horrible terms. I was just this legless fashion model, and it was really kind of fun.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. No, I love what the Runway of Dreams is doing, and it means a lot to me as a father of a child with limitations, and but obviously seeing all of these people that we deal with and get to serve and to have as a part of our camp, it's really fun to have that connection. And I'm so glad again that she's in the Pulling Each Other Along book, telling her story of how she got pulled along, but also how she's pulling along so many by letting folks with disabilities have a great opportunity for wonderful clothes as well.
And it'd be nice, I think, hopefully next year, maybe we could get Mindy to get a couple of our campers into the Runway program.
I think that's a real possibility. And we need to get Dave Clark on the Runway.
No, we do not.
Yeah, I think so.
Definitely.
If there's one thing that there's plenty of things Dave has over me, but he's a little bit more flamboyant.
If that's
the
why
right
it's
word.
for you.
I went to college, guys. He's a little more flamboyant than I am.
No, you get in the act every once in a while. I've seen it. I remember when you did the Elton John thing at that one speaking event we did at the Everblades upstairs, and you had the whole crowd, and you were acting like Elton John, and they were going crazy, and there was so much energy in that room, and it was just a super lot of fun. So
Dave,
there you go.
Dave Clark, you act like I have a microphone all the time, searching for the line that's prepared to belt out a tune or do something crazy,
Dave Stevens, you might have to listen to this show again and use it for material, possibly. There we go. Barb's on. Very good. Let's go. Thanks for coming in, Barb. We are so glad to have you again, and we're building fans. So
this will be a fun one for everybody to rewatch from the beginning.
Yeah, next time we need to do it with a couple beers, and then maybe we'll get some more stories out of Dave Clark
Or Dave. Or Dave
Geist. Oh no!
You don't want my stories.
During
Maybe
their
get a couple in on him, maybe.
I would wear my Depends for that.
Very good. So I just got a nice text from the owner of the cheese company saying cheese is going to be open next week. So
Oh my goodness, how about that? We don't need that Wisconsin cheese anymore, Dave.
No.
Right.
No, Doug needs that Depends on.
I hope they
Dave,
put
do
up
just shoot, shovel, and shut up when we get there.
cheese.
Yeah.
And I just ordered some cheese for you too, Doug. Now I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
All right. Well, it's hard to beat the cheese that we get, and it sounds like the owner was listening in and to the show. So it's not really replaceable. So it's one of those things where it's just not the kind of cheese you can just get anywhere. And if you haven't had our cheeses, they are.
It really is
good stuff.
All right, very good.
Just remarkable. So you typically have to be in our area to get them, but in the Corning area is where we do it, or around the Southern Tier and Finger Lakes, New York area. But it is super good. So guys, it's been a pleasure. People are still listening. I really sometimes wonder how and why, but we got a football game that's going to go on. We'll see how we, see if you get us tied up this time, Mr. Geist. So we got Washington Giants, right?
Yep.
So we're good. Tank's wanting to cut some cheese. I don't know, Tank.
Oh,
That sounds awful.
He's already peed himself. Now he wants to cut the cheese. You gotta let him go.
He probably
Sounds
peed
like
when he
Sam.
drives his bike down the highway.
Sounds like the clowns.
It sounds like the Clowns. Very good. Very good.
Speaking of football,
Dave Stevens, you want to end off with any passing goodbyes or words? Because we better say goodbye before we say something that's gonna get us kicked off of radio.
Thanks everybody for your support. Please follow me on social media, Dave Stevens Speaks, because I'm always tagging D3 Day and all of our exploits that we do, and when they cross over and everything I do is for you guys, is because you guys are a part of me. I didn't have this rebirth if it wasn't for Doug and Dave. So thank you guys. Thank you guys just for letting me be a part of this. It was fun to give you this show and watch how far you guys have grown with it. So it's kind of nice to come home, and now we're excited for the book and what Todd Sivan is doing. So we got some excitement ahead.
Right. And thanks for the Disability Channel, a shout out there. I know they were on some of our pictures that we showed a little bit, but the Disability Channel has been broadcasting live on their Facebook pages. So thank you, Disability Channel. And thank you, Savin Media. Thank you, Scope Design. And of course, Disability Dream and Do makes all this happen as we pull each other along. So for all of that, let's say goodnight, guys. And thank you, Dave Stevens, for joining us tonight. Hopefully you get to do it again. And
Dave, congratulations on your award.
Thank you.
yes, very much. Congratulations.
That one right there,
around. Yep. All right. Let me throw in our terrible music. And
oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, how did that get back on there? So,
What's that?
I played the
Yeah, how'd that get it?
It's like
How'd that get back on there?
I don't know. Somebody doesn't know what they're doing. So good night, everybody. This has been the Pulling Each Other Along show with Dave Clark, Dave Geist, Dave Stevens, and myself, Doug Cornfield. And we get a little bit of dancing with Dave Stevens. We gotta highlight that a little bit as we take it off the air. I wish we had a fade out. We need a fade out.
Good night, Kurt.
Tell Restream we need a fade out. Good night, everybody.
Good night.